Hey guys, Happy New Year. This is my first video for the year and this is also my first US stock market technical analysis video for the year. If you are new to this, each month I share my technical analysis of the US stock market. So I take a look at the three indexes, so the S&P 500, the Dow Jones and the Nasdaq. And if you are new to this channel, on top of this monthly US stock market technical analysis video, I also share 2 new videos each week about the stock market, so for both investing and trading. So make sure you subscribe to my channel to get all of these videos. Alright, so let's first begin by taking a look at the S&P 500. So if we take a look over here, the S&P 500 made a new intraday high over at this point over here. So as of the filming of this video, it's on the 4th of January 2022. So the S&P 500 pick up where it left off last year, which is on an uptrend. So if we take a look over here and zoom out, you'll see that for the whole of 2021, the S&P 500 generally has been on an uptrend. So yes, there has been some corrections along the way, but generally the S&P 500 has been on an uptrend. So if we take a look over here, the start of last year, the S&P 500 was at this point over here. And you can see that for the most part of last year, the S&P 500 is making higher lows and higher highs, which indicates that the S&P 500 is on an uptrend. The only time last year that the S&P 500 failed to make a higher low was at this point over here. In fact, at this point over here, prices of the S&P 500 undercut its previous low at this point over here. Not only did prices of the S&P 500 undercut its previous low over here, it also broke below its 50-day moving average as indicated by this red line over here. But you can see after that, prices managed to find some strong support at this point over here before it continues to go back up and back above the 50-day moving average. And after that, so far, it has been trending above the 50-day moving average. And we zoom in over here, we see that the S&P 500 made a new high towards the end of last year. So this was on the 27th of December, and on that day, prices closed and make a new high at this price level of around $477. So since then, prices have been trading sideways for a while before this day, which was on the 4th of January 2022, where prices make a new intraday high but it closed below that level. So if we take the closing price for this day and we calculate the distance between the closing price and the 50-day moving average, we see that the distance is only about 2.62%. So right now the S&P 500 is not too far away from the 50-day moving average and it's also not too overextended. So if the S&P 500 move up from here, there's a level that I'm taking a look at first. The level is at this point over here. As you can see over here, there's a bit of minor resistance at this price level of around $479. So if we were to see the S&P 500 moving up from here, I want to see the S&P 500 breaking above this minor resistance level with ideally a strong amount of volume. But if prices do find resistance at this point over here and decline instead of moving up, then the first level of support that I'll be taking a look at for prices is this price level of around $470. So you can see that at this price level of around $470, this has been a previous area of resistance for prices. So you can see prices encountering resistance at this point over here, and this point over here. And now that prices have broken above that resistance is likely to become an area of support. So this is the first support level that I'll be taking a look at for prices if prices of the S&P 500 decline. The next level of support that I'll be taking a look at for the S&P 500 is the 50-day moving average. The 50-day moving average has served as a strong form of support for prices of the S&P 500 for quite a while now. So that is the next level of support that I'll be taking a look at for the S&P 500. That's my technical analysis for the S&P 500. Now let's take a look at the Dow Jones. For the Dow Jones, it also managed to make a new high, but unlike the S&P 500, the Dow Jones managed to make a new high and close at a new high. And in terms of price action, the Dow Jones also looks stronger than the S&P 500. So if you take a look over here, there was a bit of resistance at this price level of around $364. And the Dow Jones managed to clear this point of resistance very powerfully. If you take a look over here, from this day to this day, prices managed to gap up. And then not only did it gap up, it also managed to close at a new high. So the Dow Jones is definitely looking quite powerful right now. And one of the fundamental reasons behind this strength in the Dow Jones is because of the 10-year treasury yields. So if we take a look at the 10-year treasury yields, so we take a look at TNX, so you'll see that this is the 10-year treasury note yield. And for the 10-year treasuries, we see that the yield has been on the rise recently. In fact, in the last trading session, the yield managed to gap up from this point over here to this point over here. And we zoom out over here, we see at this point over here, at around 1.66%, the 10-year treasury yield is close to its 1-year high. And with the rise in the 10-year treasury yields, the financial sector stands to benefit. So if we take a look at the financial sector, so the XLF, we see that the XLF has also been performing quite well recently. So how does this relate back to the Dow Jones? So we take a look at the Dow Jones over here. There are a few financial stocks in the Dow Jones index. So for example, Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan. And because these financial stocks has been performing relatively better recently, this has also managed to pull up the Dow Jones along with it. So now that the Dow Jones is at its all-time high, there is no clear overhead resistance. As for the downside, if prices of the Dow Jones decline, then the first level of support that I'll be taking a look at is this price level of around $363. The second level of support that I'll be taking a look at is the 50-day moving average, and the third level of support is this price level over here, which corresponds with the 200-day moving average and the green box over here. This support here is likely to be the strongest form of support for the Dow Jones if prices of the Dow Jones do decline all the way to this level. And the reason is because there's a confluence of support at this point over here. So the first support is the 200-day moving average, and the second support is this green box over here. Because this green box over here is a key price level for the Dow Jones. So there's a confluence of two factors providing support for the Dow Jones at this price level over here of around $348. So that's my technical analysis for the Dow Jones. Now let's take a look at the Nasdaq. For the Nasdaq, you'll see that currently it is experiencing some resistance at this price level of around $403 because this price level has also been a resistance for prices previously. So if you take a look over here, you see that the Nasdaq has encountered resistance over here, and both times the Nasdaq did not manage to break above the resistance. And right now you see that the Nasdaq is also encountering some form of resistance at this price level over here. So just now we talked about this fundamental factor, which is that the 10-year treasury yields has been rising recently. So when yields rise, we know that financial stocks tend to benefit. However, growth stocks and tech stocks tend to underperform when yield starts to rise. So we see that the 10-year treasury yields has been rising recently, and corresponding with this rise in yields, we see that the Nasdaq has been declining over here. So that's a fundamental factor that you want to take into consideration. But for the technical factor, as we have mentioned earlier on, this area that the Nasdaq is currently at is a resistance level. So prices are encountering some resistance over here, but the good news is that prices managed to stay above the 50-day moving average. As you can see on this candlestick over here, even though prices decline all the way to the 50-day moving average, towards the end of the day, buyers start to come in and push prices back above the 50-day moving average. So you can see that the 50-day moving average right now is proving to be a support for the Nasdaq. So whether the Nasdaq is able to make a new high depends on whether the Nasdaq is able to clear above this area of resistance before it finds support over here. Ideally, that's what I want to see before it continues to move up from here. But if this price area of $403 continues to be a strong resistance area, then prices might decline. So the first support level that I'll be taking a look at is this 50-day moving average, and the second level of support is this price level of around $380. So that's my technical analysis of the US stock market. Hopefully you have enjoyed and learned something from this video. If you did, smash that like button because it really helps the channel grow and allow me to produce more content such as this. And if you want more weekly stock ideas and tips, make sure you join my Facebook and Telegram groups. I included the links down in the description below. I'll see you in the other videos. To your financial success.